Uganda was a struggling nation. Pastor Robert Kayanja met a man called Archbishop Benson Idahosa, who says that everything I am was by T.L. Osborne and his wife, Daisy. This is the father of Nigeria saying, everything I am, it's quoted, was by T.L. Osborne and Daisy. That means he observed a pattern. It doesn't mean he couldn't heal the sick, but the dimensions he found with certain individuals, and he knew he could only pattern himself a certain way to become the patriarch that Nigeria celebrates today. The Robert Kayanjas, our men of God, imitated the same, and we started to see very big revivals in our meetings. But who hasn't imitated? The T.L. Osborne is in a meeting of William Branham, and then he sees a child with crossed eye, and William heals that child. He receives the grace and goes to India and does his healing meeting for the first time after having tried to heal the sick for many years. But he couldn't. But there was a man with a mantle, and all he needed was to know how to connect. Am I communicating? Once they're mature enough, once you're mature in that field, then express yourself above the standard the man has set for you. Because I always tell people, every man of God that has done something distinctive in his generation is a standard, not a limitation. Once you have drawn that standard and you know, now I can meet this rank, then you go to Ephesians chapter 5, again the Amplified Version, verses 1. Now he's talking to the mature. He tells them, now that you've imitated people and you've gotten to a place where now you can fly, he says, therefore be imitators of God. Copy him and follow his example as well, beloved children. Imitate their father. You see what I'm saying? Now he's saying, when you're at a level when you can do what I'm doing and you're my spiritual son, from then on, imitate God. But while there's still things you can learn from me, learn. And I'm speaking for every man and woman of God who stands on that altar, and you say that they have something that you admire. Hallelujah, somebody. Hallelujah, somebody. Be imitators. Be imitators. Learn. Today we're in a generation where a person who has not built his anything can judge a man for building a house with small windows. The bathrooms are too small. Brother, first make enough money to buy a property in Abuja, then judge a man for building a small house. Stand on the altar and walk that process for 5-6 years, and then judge a pastor for doing this wrong, doing that man, doing this wrong. You know, some of you exercise yourselves in matters higher than you. You don't know where to say at this particular point, I can say nothing until I can build a template myself. Now, Paul is saying Corinth is a church that is growing. Even the language in Corinth, he's teaching them about giving, how to give, what the state of heart the man should have when they're giving. This is a learning church. And he's saying there are things you're learning. Imitate me. Imitate me even as I imitate Christ. Yes, I know you want to heal the sick, but when I'm healing the sick, observe how I heal the sick. Don't try to build your own altar somewhere and yet you can't express yourself in the spirit the way God has ordained the person he has ordained ahead of you to follow can express himself. Learn how he heals the sick. Learn how he speaks to wealth. Learn how he sees the way he sees. Learn his nuances. Look at him and study him, every pattern of his life, and know, why does he look this way? Why does he do this? Recently I was somewhere preaching, and one of my sons observed something. We're in London in a conference, and we're healing the sick after preaching. And then in the middle there, I stopped like this, and my heart is disturbed. And he could tell that my spirit was disturbed. My spirit told me there's something missing here, and he was observing. I felt there was a miracle that had not yet broken out. And then in there, while I was standing, I asked God certain things. I communicated to him. Those are private things. And God answered me. And then I turned and said, do we have anybody in a wheelchair or a clutch? And some people put up their hands. And I told them, get up and walk. They will tell you in that conference, nobody came with a clutch and didn't walk back home healed. This guy comes after service and asks me, what did you see? What was that thing that you saw in that moment? That's a son trying to learn. He's imitating. There's something he feels is a pattern, and he wants to connect to that pattern to say, what is this thing that you were doing at that particular point? Of course, there are many who observed and like, yeah, it's a good meeting. Yeah, people were healed and stuff like that. But number one, not anybody who came with a clutch in that room walked back with a clutch. But two, something happened in that meeting that changed the atmosphere that a man studying me could have received. Do you get it?